the Opupco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson, here with Barrie Trammell. It's time for our weekly inbox segment. You send us your questions, and we'll reply to them here on video. Barrie, let's get right to it. Let's start with Joe. Joe says, as a diehard baseball fan, I cannot understand why instant replay is not used more like it is in football. Umpires are not gods. Well, we did know that, Barrie, but what about instant replay in baseball?
Well, it'd be a fantastic idea if the baseball games weren't lasting 3.5 hours long. Yeah. For crying out loud, in the old days when a well-pitched game might go 205, 210, yeah, throw in a little bit of replay. But the delays and the suspensions of play in baseball are already insufferable. The many pitching changes, the lack of guys getting into the box, the lack of the pitchers not wanting to throw the ball. The games have stretched out so much that adding to that is really going to take a tax, I think, on the enjoyment of the game. I vote no on more instant replay.
Yeah, unless you want to do something to shorten the game. I mean, sort of something like a pitch clock or a clock that's on the hitters that you've got to be in the batter's box the next amount of time. I know umpires are trying to do stuff to move the game along, but maybe something like that would shorten the game. But yeah, I can't tell you the last time I sat down a regular season to watch a regular season baseball game. It's great to watch in person. Love going to a ballpark, sitting and enjoying an afternoon game or an evening game. But on TV, Barrie, there aren't a lot of people sitting around watching full baseball games unless they are absolutely into their team. And yeah, instant replay, I can't imagine it would draw a bunch of people in. All right, back to the inbox. This one from Trenton. Trenton says, if I was a GM and had this year and even next to win a championship, I'd take the Lakers' big three. We match up with them, meaning the Thunder, but their legs are fresher than last year. How do you rank the big three? How do you rank the three big threes? Wow, I can't even talk, but how do you rank the big threes that are out there?
Well, I mean, I think Miami's number one. I think with LeBron and Wade, now Bosh is not so much, but LeBron and Wade with Bosh, unbelievable trio. You can't, I think they're probably going to win the NBA title. They're number one. I would take the Thunder number two with Westbrook, Harden, and Durant. I just think they're more consistent. I think the Laker trio of Kobe and Bynum and Gasol are both old and a little bit inconsistent considering Bynum. So I just think the big three of the Thunder is more consistent than the big three of the Lakers. I'd go Heat, Thunder, Lakers.
Yeah, I would too. That's exactly how I'd rank them. And yeah, I think as far as quality along all three, I think the Thunder is as good from 1 to 3 as maybe any of those three, because I'm with Barrie. Chris Bosh has his moments, but consistently not fantastic. And if Andrew Bynum could just get out of his own way, Barrie, he's a fantastic talent. Fantastic. Even guys on the Thunder have said, he's a guy you have to fear, but he's his own worst enemy. If he could get out of his own way, how good could that guy be? He could be fantastic.
Well, I mean, yeah, but he'd need to grow up, and I'm not sure he's going to.
No. All right, back to the inbox. This one from Mark. Mark says, would like to see Collison and more at the end of games. Such a difference maker. What do you think of that, Barrie?
No. I love Nick Collison, but he has his place, and frankly, the Thunder closes out games with the guys they need. Now, Collison made it easy on Scotty Brooks in Game 2. He fouled out with 9 minutes left. Sure. So what we're seeing more and more is the Thunder going small down the stretch in the fourth quarter, usually with Fisher and Harden, but sometimes with Harden and Cephalosha. But when they do go small, they need Ibaka or Perkins in there because of size and length, defending the basket. Collison really doesn't defend the basket. He defends individual players pretty good, not the basket so much. I think they're using Nick correctly.
Yeah, he is a sort of a spot guy, and there's definitely going to be times if the Thunder advances into the next round, there may be a matchup that is more suited to him being in there in more late game situations. But what the Mavs are doing is sort of changing the Thunder rotation. They're not playing Haywood hardly at all. I mean, he played so limited minutes in Game 2. He's their true 5, and so it sort of changes the way the Thunder's going to use guys. Yeah, I think what they're doing with Nick Collison is great. Every time he comes in, brings a spark, brings that defensive intensity. But when it comes to the end of the game, I think you got to go with especially scorers. But, you got to have those defenders out there too. I'm just not sure Collison's enough of a – I'm just not sure he's the right guy to be in there. So I think they're using him well. I don't think it's too big of a problem right now. And they are up 2-0. Let's remember that. How about this one from Chris, Barrie? Chris says, what do you think of the quarterback call at Oklahoma State? Considering the competition was close and the recruiting ties to Denton, I was a little surprised that Mike Gundy took Wes Lunt over J.W. Walsh.
Well, I mean, I think, we haven't got to see him except the one spring game, and I thought Lunt, looked pretty similar to the others. It was close, no doubt about it. I don't think the recruiting ties to Denton, we're talking about a Guyer High School. We're not a lot of guys, Josh Stewart, some others have come from there. But I don't think that's a big factor. You can't worry about that kind of thing. Cowboys still been signing guys since Bobby Reed lost his quarterback job out of Galena Park North Shore down in Houston. So I don't think you can worry about that. I think you have to play the best guy. You have to go with the guy you believe in. If that's Wes Lunt, you have to go with him.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, coaches do have to play a little bit of, behind the scenes, I'm sure, when it comes to recruiting and a guy that doesn't get played. But, when you've got Josh Stewart who played as a true freshman, I don't think there's anybody who's going to say, wow, OSU's anti-Denton. He played a ton last year and will be dependent on even more as a second-year guy. So, you got to go with who's potentially going to win you ball games. Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens when the fall gets here, and these guys get more practice and we start seeing them in games. Yeah, it's Wes Lunt's job now, but they've got another guy that he could be called into duty. I think they're going to use J.W. Walsh in some way, and we may see just how much depending on how Wes Lunt does in the fall. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.